Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Prairie Podcast. It's so exciting to have you join us here today. No matter who you are, whether you're a student at Prairie, someone from the community, maybe someone from the Chateau, I don't know, but maybe if you are whoever you are welcome to this podcast. Welcome to listening in because we've got a great guest with us, Dori Ward. So, Dori, why don't you share with us a bit about who you are, introduce yourself, give us a bit of the background on who you are.
Sure. I'm Dori. You already shared that. And I'm from Three Hills here. I grew up in northern Saskatchewan, attended Cairnport High School actually, and met my husband there. We've been married and farm west of town for 35 years. We have four amazing adult children. Three of
Mhm.
them are married, and we have two little grandbabies with one coming in July. So we'll have three shortly.
That's exciting. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a really wonderful news there. Okay, so uh, I know you do some work over at the Chateau here in
Yeah.
town. You've been there for a number of years, and I think 3 years as manager there. So why don't you give us the background? What kind of work have you been doing at the Chateau? Give us some history on that, and then explain what is the Chateau,
Sure.
if you can do that for us.
Sure, absolutely. I've had the privilege of managing for the last 3 years, as you said. Prior to that, I came in as the assisted living coordinator and
Hmm.
nursing manager, and I've done that for a total of 9 years.
Okay.
And so I took my nursing here at Prairie. I graduated in 2012. Then it was through PCAT, PCAT, um, and it was the Bow Valley. And so I had the privilege of doing my practicum here in town through the Three Hills Home Care and the Three Hills Hospital.
Hmm.
And then I had a bit of a back injury. And I started looking at different opportunities. And a friend, actually from my class here, she said, Dree, I'm the assisted living coordinator at Chateau. When I'm done this job, she was from Alabama. She said, I would like you. I think it's a fit for you. So a few months later, she called me and she said, Dree, I think I'm leaving and I really think this is a fit for you.
Hmm.
So I went in, interviewed, and it was a door that opened really obviously, and I've just really loved working there ever since.
Well, that's really great.
Mhm.
And yeah, would you mind explaining what is the Chateau? What's
Sure,
going on there? Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, the chateau is a retirement facility. We call it a family, a chateau family. We have independent, assisted, and what we call DSL3, or now with the new Continuing Care Act, we call it Continuing Care B housing.
Hmm.
So we are contract with Alberta Health Services, and we provide food, cleaning, activities, and just a really great place for seniors. And actually, because I'm a DSL contract, I don't have an age limit. So I actually
Hmm.
have 18 to 99-year-olds in my
Wow.
facility.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Great. Well, thanks for sharing some of that history there with us and what's going on over at the chateau. So, you've been there for a good number of years. I'm curious, in your time there, in total over the 9 years, but maybe even in the recent three as manager, what's been some of your favorite things? What do you really enjoy about the work you're doing there?
sure. I love the staff. I love the residents. I love the opportunity to lead. I love it when somebody from the community that I think would really benefit from Chateau comes and does a tour.
Hmm.
And I'm able to show them all the benefits of us caring for them and taking away the burden of them having to provide meals and clean and cook and take care of their spouse or each other or even just themselves. And now they have more time for family, they have more time
Hmm.
for companionship. Risk of isolation is so huge in anybody, but especially seniors. And so we can completely remove that. We can bring them in, we can love on
Hmm.
them and make them know that they make a difference still, even as a senior.
Well, that's really exciting. That sounds like a fun time, a great time there,
Yeah,
in the work you're doing. Okay, so you've shared a little bit with us about some of your work history, a bit about your family, the exciting news about grandchildren there. I'm curious. Let's hear about the other side of things, your faith background. I'd be curious to hear
sure.
your testimony. What's the journey been like with God and learning more about Him there?
Sure. I grew up in a Christian home
Yeah.
with a mom and dad who loved the Lord, and I remember being led to the Lord with my dad at a very
Hmm.
early age. When I was a little bit older, I had a sister who was diagnosed with leukemia, and she was 13 and I was 16,
Hmm.
and she passed away in that year. She lived about from March until November.
Hmm.
And during that time, my roots grew even deeper in my Christian faith as I saw the community, the church, the school, the friends and family, how they were deeply rooted in their Christian faith and shared it with us.
Hmm.
And I was able to see not only what I had learned growing up, but I saw it applied
Yeah.
through the community. And so that was a huge kind of maturing in my faith. Of course, when you have a family member that goes on to be with the Lord, your heart is already there.
Hmm.
And so it's easy, where we grew up learning and understanding about eternity. And, John 3:16 was a huge part of our lives.
Yeah.
Um, for God to love the world, and we want to spend eternity with
Hmm.
Him, and so that really made a lot of impact in my high school and adult life.
Hmm.
And then I got married and moved here and just wanted to follow Jesus in whatever I did, whether it
Hmm.
was serving him in church, whether it was serving him at home. I believe that God cared about each part of my life. And so um, I would say maybe a little bit of my maturing in my Christian faith was when I became an adult, I really wanted to understand prayer better.
Hmm.
And so I began studying prayer on my own. And I just believe in the power of prayer. So
Hmm.
I just love people and pray for them. So as an adult, when I became a nurse, I would take opportunities to pray for my patients if they shared the same faith. If they didn't share the same faith, then I would go home and pray for those people
Hmm.
and pray that for God to intervene in their lives and to make himself known. And it was just such a neat opportunity. Like nursing just really works really well with your
Wow.
faith. If and I do believe I have the gift of faith. I believe that God will do it. And I pray for that and believe and trust him with that future of that.
Hmm. That's really exciting. Thank you
Yeah.
for being so open with us
Yeah.
and honest about the journey there and the ways that God has just been with you, guided you, and the way you've been able to draw deeper into Him. And I think that's really it's a wonderful testimony for all of us here, and I've been encouraged, and I think many others are. So thank you.
Thank you.
So you've shared a little bit about how now your deep rooted faith, your desire for prayer, and your faith in that it will work. We can talk with our heavenly Father. How that impacts some of the work that you're doing. I'm curious in your work at the chateau,
Mhm.
and maybe specifically as the manager. How does that deep rooted faith impact and play out in your role as a manager?
It's really powerful because, first of all, I start my day with prayer
Hmm.
and I ask God to give me wisdom
Yeah.
because as you're dealing with 60 residents and 40 staff, you
Hmm.
have a lot of challenges that come your way. Some of them are simple little things about understanding policies, some of it are the aging process and some of the dementia or some of the challenges in moving on
Hmm.
to higher care. Some of them are just asking the Lord to bring people into our building that will create a chateau family community. And when someone will come into the building, I'll be able to give them a tour and I'll be able to I'll feel like God is really showing me which room will be theirs and they will be like this is the room and
Hmm.
they weren't even for sure that they were moving and I'll have a deposit before they leave.
Wow.
So that's really rewarding. And just knowing that I feel like God's put me here and He's using me in their lives. Also, with staff, just being able to come alongside them. We do some hard things. We're working with vulnerable adults, and so in order to do that, we need staff that we can trust, and we need accountability. And so I can come alongside and I can say, "Hey, this is what's going on. Can we teach you more about that,
Hmm.
or what can we do to support you more in your role?" Or sometimes simply, this isn't a right fit for you. We have a probation period.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's just really obvious that the kind of values that we have don't always align with everyone's values. And so for us, we're really, as a manager, I have the ability to add in the passion of person centered.
Hmm.
And as nursing, person centered is huge. And
Yeah.
I can do that at the chateau with each individual family and resident. And then also with the staff, we'll take them aside and say, what are your goals?
Yeah.
Is that, is this what kind of tools can we give you to be even better at this job? Or, what else do you have in your future? This is entry level. What's next for you?
Hmm.
And not trying to keep people where they are just for our benefit,
Yeah.
but rather grow them and mature them so that they can be the best they can be.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What a cool if you can't I think I could be quite confident saying it's a ministry, it's a work you're
Yes.
doing, you're tying your faith into it. Your faith is being lived out in just the way that you interact with your staff and the members at the chateau. I think that's really awesome. So I'm curious, prayer seems to be really central to your faith journey, and I think that's actually really awesome, and it should be key for all of us. I'm curious, is that something that God kind of just sparked in you and grew, or was there maybe someone that influenced you or you admired and like I want to pray like that person prays, or in your work as a manager, was there someone that kind of mentored you or discipled you to live out
Yeah.
your faith? I'm curious. I'd be fascinated to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah, I think back to our personal journey, just shortly after I became a nurse, our
Hmm.
daughter was in a very serious motor vehicle accident.
Yeah.
And we just saw God work.
Hmm.
As a nurse, I felt God answer prayers. One of them was that I was able to understand and know the language the nurses and doctors were speaking in ICU and that whole journey. And so I just saw people that were excellent at their
Hmm.
job and began praying for and just saw God answer.
Wow.
I have a lot of people in my life that are regular prayers. Is there one particular person? I don't know. I think it's the Christian faith and the journey.
Yeah.
Really understanding. My dad, he passed away over 10 years ago
Hmm.
now, and he just really believed in personal devotions, and he taught us to do the daily bread every day. And as a teenager, he asked me, "Are you doing personal devotions?" And I've done them ever since.
Yeah.
And that always was enveloped with prayer. And so I think that example of spending time in the Word and praying, and that God hears us and that He cares about us personally.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's very easy to bring that into work. I know God cares for each senior,
Hmm.
each of my staff. I know He cares for me and He hears me. And I know it's about building His kingdom,
Yeah.
and that can be done in those little things. But I would say the faith community and just
Hmm.
maturing, and there's many people in my life who are amazing prayer
Yeah,
people.
that's really encouraging, and I think what you speak about has some solid truth for all of us. Is we're in a community, we're a community of faith believers. We can encourage one another, pray for one another, and remind one another what are we doing this for? What's the purpose? What's the meaning behind all of this? And so, thanks for sharing some of that. I appreciate the
Yeah,
thoughts. Okay, and I'm curious. I always like to ask this with people on the podcast.
sure.
In particular, is there something that God has been teaching you recently? Whether it's a verse He's been bringing you through, a story you've been reading about, something He's reminded you of, something He's encouraging in. Is there something that God has been showing you lately you'd be willing to share with us?
Yeah, sure. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 is just a huge in my life consistently
Mm,
to trust in the Lord in all our ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct our paths. And I just find that, He's been teaching me. At first, as a manager, you want to do a really, really good job. You want to do
yeah.
everything right, and you feel like you maybe don't have all the tools. So I really lean on my team for the different aspects of my job that I'm not as strong in. And lately, instead of feeling like I'm inadequate or maybe there's someone better that can do the job, God's just put this incredible peace in my heart
Mm,
and life.
yeah.
And He's just said, no matter what you're going through, no matter who, whether it's personal, whether it's at work, whether it's a difficult client or a client that your heart is just breaking for them because they're
Mm,
going through something difficult, he's just said, Dri, I have you. There's this peace that comes. And as you work around people that don't have that peace, it's
mm,
so quickly and so obviously evident
yeah.
that that is part of being a child of God, is that He can give us that peace in no matter what is going on around us.
Wow. What a wonderful reminder. I think you share with all of us. So, the first reminder about the community of believers, but then also this reminder that we can trust God. And when we have that peace, it's different. It sets us apart, actually, but it's the peace from God in those circumstances that we may not always enjoy, working with people that are sometimes difficult. Jesus can work through us in that peace, and that we can trust Him to do that. That's really awesome. So
Yeah.
thanks for saying that there. So, in summary, of everything we've talked about here, I think you've made some really solid points. You've shared some great stories. I think something that you brought up, I just wanted to comment on again was, nursing and the work that you're doing in a caring environment, it's a service-based work that you're doing there. There is a very easy natural inclination for your faith to play out. Something I've heard from the program director of the current nursing program here at Prairie is that the soul needs are just as important as the spiritual and emotional needs. And as a nurse, understanding your faith journey, where's your faith come from, how does that play out, you can actually be a far more beneficial nurse because you understand all aspects of humanity. I don't know, that's just something I thought of as you were sharing there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you definitely care for the body and the soul, the
Hmm.
spirit,
Yeah.
and we're allowed to person centered to understand each individual person.
Hmm.
And so it's a really incredible opportunity to just walk alongside
Yeah.
people on the journey they're on and share where we are.
Well, that's exactly it. So, Dori, thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on the podcast here, sharing some of your thoughts, some of the stories. I'm curious, in light of everything we've talked about, do you have any final words for our listeners? Anything else you want to get out there?
I think just, when you love Jesus, it can be in every part of your life, in your
Mm,
work, in your personal life, with friends. And what an incredible opportunity to just live out your faith, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. So,
wonderful. Well, that's awesome. Okay, Dori, if people want to learn more about the chateau, where do
sure.
they find that information?
Absolutely. Chateau Three Hills, we have a website. You can just log on to that. Just Google Chateau Three Hills. We're under Alberta Health Service Housing. We have a contract with them, and we have an amazing Facebook page that we
Hmm,
feature our residents and our activities. Those are all great places. And if you're
wonderful.
looking for a place to live as a senior or as someone that needs a little bit of assistance, we'd love to do a tour with you.
That'd be great. So make sure you check out Chateau Three Hills for all the information. It's a really cool place. If you want to learn more about Prairie College, the people hosting this podcast, you can head to our website, www.prairie.edu. Make sure you check out our social media, as well as other locations to listen to some of the other episodes. We've got a lot of great people on the podcast, and I think you'd enjoy hearing their stories as well. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Dori.
Yes, you're welcome.